Do you ever think you'd see the day where the Steelers pay a wide receiver $33 million a year and cough up a second-round pick to do it?
This is unprecedented. I've been racking my brain to think of a time in the free agency era where the Steelers have paid big money to somebody who wasn't already playing for them. You had the Ben Roethlisberger video earlier. His biggest number ever was $34 million per year in new money on a 2-year deal toward the back end of his tenure with the Steelers. $33 million per year, new money for a stranger to the team. And here's the problem with paying a guy that much money. You better have a plan for getting value out of that guy. The Seahawks never used DK Metcalf the way they could have or should have. The Steelers will need to make DK Metcalf the centerpiece of the offense to justify the $33 million a year. And you got George Pickens entering a contract year. He's not going to be the first option for a lot of these plays if they design them to go to Metcalf to justify the contract. Pickens is going to want out. And I wouldn't be surprised if Pickens is gone by the end of the week, because he's got to look at this and say, if I'm going to have a contract year, I'm not going to have it as the second option on a team that's trying to justify a huge contract for Metcalf. I want to go somewhere else.
Really? You think that he could pull a power play like that and get an exit, become a hostage instead of a volunteer?
Well, and Rich, he's making about 10% this year of what DK Metcalf is making per year in new money. So something's wrong with this picture. They've made it clear that Metcalf is the future. They're never going to pay big money to two receivers, and they're never going to get the ball thrown around unless they really are going to do a full-out Air Coryell approach to their offense, add Aaron Rodgers and throw the ball all over the place. Even then, it's going to be hard for Pickens to have the kind of year that would set him up on the market next year. Now, the problem is if they try to trade him, teams are going to remember that they got a high second-round pick, which essentially became the last pick in round one that year for – who's the guy that they got rid of? The receiver, Chase Claypool. And he's not even in the league now. So I think teams are going to tread lightly if the Steelers start calling around to see who wants George Pickens.
Mike Florio here on the Rich Eisen Show. What is going on, do you think, right now in the front offices of Pittsburgh about their quarterback? And how does that involve Seattle with Sam Darnold? I know I'm giving you sort of a big question about the sweepstakes here, but there you have it. What do you think?
Well, from the moment that it became clear to me that Aaron Rodgers no longer wanted to be with the Jets, but he was going to try to get out by needling Woody Johnson every chance he could get so that the Jets would conclude to be the ones who broke up with him instead of the other way around, Pittsburgh made the most sense. And I've been saying for weeks, Pittsburgh makes perfect sense for Aaron Rodgers. He's going to want to end his career not with a Week 18 regular season game, but with a postseason game at whatever level. You don't want to limp off into the sunset with a loser. And the Steelers have been perennial contenders without him since Ben Roethlisberger really started to tail off. And he stayed 1 year longer at a minimum than he should have. They haven't had good quarterback play, but they've still been relevant, and they've still had non-losing seasons every year of Mike Tomlin's tenure. So I think Rodgers was just waiting. When he reached out to the Giants 2 weeks ago, I think the subtext of that was nobody good wants him. And now the Steelers have finally realized he's our option. I think they've realized because Justin Fields is going to get more from the Jets than the Steelers are willing to pay. So let's just go get Rodgers. Let's transform the team. I mean, this really is a dramatic shift in philosophy for a Steelers team that hasn't won a playoff game since the divisional round in 2016 at Kansas City, the game that got them to realize we need to make a drastic change. They traded up for Patrick Mahomes in the next draft. The Steelers making a drastic change to get back to the playoffs and win a game for the first time in what will be 9 years.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.